What do you see? I see a 20-year-old attempted assassin who, when Donald Trump came down the escalator to run for president, was a 13-year-old boy who began to be lied to by the media. Donald Trump, the dictator. Donald Trump, a threat to democracy and life as we know it. Donald Trump, a racist. Donald Trump needs to be terminated. These are the words that were coming out of all those in the media, particularly on the left. The Van Joneses, the Maxine Walters, the Congressional Black Caucus, the Joy Reids, MSNBC, CNN. That's all they've been spewing for 8 years. And the result, you raised the killer. You raised assassins because of your words. Words matter. I call you to repentance in the name of Jesus. I declare and decree right now that spirit lead this nation. Amen.
You know, just the other day, Donald Trump was in the Grand Rapids giving a speech, and he denounced Project 2025. And you know that the left has been spewing that. And I just so happened to come across a friend, and I remember somewhere in the conversation, I'm like, yeah, Trump 2024. And she's like, oh, I don't believe that assassination attempt was real. I think it was staged, this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, you know, somebody lost their life. And she's like, oh, well, no, I still don't believe it. And in my mind, I'm like, well, somebody actually lost their life. Like, somebody's gone. Like, that alone, regardless of whether you support him or not, like, she'll let you know, oh, no, I don't believe it. I'm like, well, I can show you a video that can show you how it happened, because she was insinuating the sniper shouldn't have missed. You shouldn't have missed that shot. He was that close to stand the third. Woo, woo, woo. I'm like, all right, let me show you how it's divine intervention. Then I show her the 3D depiction that came out, and they show how Trump turned his head at the perfect time and how it was able to strike his ear. And that's what she was like, But, you know, what about him in Project 2025? That's super extreme. And I know he supports that. I'm like, well, no, he denounced that. I'm like, he even denounced it on his Truth Social. I'm like, and even just today, that day, I'm like, even just today, he just denounced it again. She's like, what? No, they've been saying he this and he that. And I was like, I showed her the clip, and she was like, whoa. Jokingly, she goes, I need to get my Trump hat. But I say it all that to say, look how much influence the mainstream and legacy media has on people. I'm serious. And on top of that, they know that I have to say it, call it like it is. They know that people aren't going to go do their own digging and research. They're going to stick to them gaslit points that they've been given and just move with that, man. And it's just sad to see. But I was thankful to be able to provide her with, enough thought for her to go, you know what, Trump ain't so bad. But it's been 8 days since the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. And we don't know a lot. We're still in the dark about why a building just 160 yards from the stage was excluded from the security perimeter. Sounds fishy to me.
Joining us now, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, and he's on the House Oversight Committee, and Iraq War veteran Congressman Corey Mills. Welcome, guys. Appreciate you being on. Congressman Mills, I got to think about you with your war background. You know this guy's suspicious. You keep him under surveillance for an hour, and then without a ladder, just getting on the air conditioner, he hit a gun earlier, it seems. He gets on top of the roof and starts firing as soon as he gets discovered and hits Trump in the ear, kills and wounds 2 others. From what you know a week later, what have you concluded?
Well, look, Brian, the bottom line is that we need to do a full J13 commission where we investigate not only to pull the advance plan and where they set the perimeter lines, but what was the security plan? Why wasn't there a central emergency communications channel for every single one of the law enforcement officers there, from local to coordinated agencies to the Secret Service themselves? Why didn't we have someone pre-stationed on that roof knowing that it's 160 yards completely adjacent to the stage with a clear line of sight? This is a sniper's paradise. This is something that we never would have allowed to have gone within our perimeters. And I've done so many of these advances and so many of these different counter sniper operations where I've set up and I do a range fan as well as for a sniper sketch in my data log book that'll tell you exactly where I would be focused and where I would look at. Right. I want to request that log book. I want to request the counter snipers team's perimeter layouts.
I want to see that too.
And I think that while Biden can't tell the difference between Cheeto and Cheetos, she needs to come on. She needs to resign. But we need a full investigation to determine whether or not this was negligence, dereliction of duty, or if there was intent. We can't pull anything off the table.
In my opinion, there was way too much that went wrong, that accountability needs to be had. And Cheeto, I don't know why she doesn't resign. I'm looking at an article here where the 1st congressional district the first congressional Democrat calls for Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle to resign. Everybody's calling her resign, even the people from on her side. And what just took place was sad. It should have never happened. But I told you guys that we have new information. This is from okay, hold on. I'm gonna make sure I get this account right, y'all. Don't wanna do nothing wrong. The Beauty MRK on TikTok is exposing all this. He said that Rothschild, BlackRock, Vanguard, Bushes, and Cheney stood to gain $696 billion, up to $1 trillion in profits. 1/4 of this entire portfolio shorted DJT stock the day before the assassination attempt. Now let's go ahead and take a listen to this, y'all.
Austin Private Wealth shorted 12 million shares of Donald Trump's stock on July 12th. So here's everything that you need to know about Austin Private Wealth. Because if it's not an input error, it's definitely not intentional, right? As you can see, an event starkly reminiscent of strange trading activity just before the what attacks in 2001? On July 12th, do keep in mind, a day before July 13th, 12 million. Ironically, Austin Private Wealth's highest shareholders just so happen to be BlackRock and Vanguard. So what is a put option, people might ask? Well, like it says here, I pulled this good article that explains it very thoroughly. Ironically, a put option is an investment made by someone who expects a company's stock price to fall. I have no idea why they worded it wrong right there, but this still explains it pretty clearly. People who engage in inside trading by put options can make 5 times or sometimes even 100 times profits, depending on how quickly the stock plummets. And like it says here, hypothetically, if Trump did die in the assassination attempt, his company would have become worthless. Its stock would have become zero in a day. And hypothetically, the people who bought put options would have made billions in profit. The action that was taken was they shorted 12 million shares of Donald Trump's stock. Now this is the most important part, right? The potential impact that they listed was a significant loss supposedly for the company. What? And as you can see, this portfolio impact was nearly 1/4 of their entire portfolio. And their portfolio value was about $1 billion in assets under management. And as you can see, in case of events like Trump's death, the value of Trump Media and Technology Group shares would have plummeted, and the put options held by companies such as the Austin Private Wealth would have been worth billions. Also, supposedly according to reports, ironically, Austin Private Wealth has also bought 36 million puts of Rumble on July 12th the same day. And supposedly, like it says right here, it's common knowledge that Rumble stock would have plummeted too if something had happened to Trump. Do keep in mind, these are all different articles, okay? Now this is the most interesting part of it all, right? Some of Austin Private Wealth's top holdings, as reported in their latest 13F filing, include the Rothschild family, BlackRock, Vanguard, Meta, George Bush, and the Cheney family. What? And like it says here, Trump's death would have crashed the NASDAQ and DOW Jones for a week. And hypothetically, supposedly according to some estimates, anyone who had this knowledge beforehand would have made an estimated $696 billion to $1 trillion in profits. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that just a month ago, BlackRock and Citadel Securities started backing a TXSE group to launch the Texas Stock Exchange. And as you can see earlier this year, specifically in March, BlackRock created a fund with Securitize, supposedly a big player in real-world asset tokenization. And of course, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, aka my fucking grandfather, said in an interview earlier that the company's filings for spot Bitcoin and other ETFs were stepping stones towards tokenization. And have you noticed what Ken Griffin's latest investments have been, aka the CEO of Citadel Securities? Because when you do, things start to get really interesting. And ironically, this just so happened to happen in 2020. I'm sure you can read that for yourself, right? And why might that be so important? Well, because one of Ken Griffin's major investments just so happened to be in Amazon. And wow, you can easily find things just like this. This was in 2022, right? Amazon leaks Greek what project? Everything starts to make sense eventually.
Now, those are a lot of coincidences for real. And I'm going to have to read some of these comments. Somebody said, and we've only touched the edge of how evil these MFers are. Somebody said, and he replied, it makes me physically ill to the stomach. The elites failed to take Trump out, and payback will be a B. Let me see. Let's continue. I'm going to read about 2 more. How much more evidence do you need? Signed confessions. We know who the sponsors of this assassination are, and we know Mayorkas and Cheadle have dirty fingerprints. Excuse me. Go from there. This is not 1963 anymore. They're not going to hide this time. Somebody else wrote. Now, the very last one I'm gonna read is 2 names seem to come up repeatedly in all this: the Cheney family and BlackRock. Biden and Bush also, but as much as Cheney family. But not as much as the Cheney family. Cheadle assigned to Cheney's and remain close. Cheadle gave Liz SSJ6 records and wiped staff's devices. Cheney's have a hatred for Trump, he wrote. Okay, cool. Well, not cool, but, I just want to give y'all some of the responses from that clip as well. So, moving on, a man in a gray suit. He climbed to the roof and told any official that took a picture of Thomas Crook's body to send those pictures to a phone he provided, to a number that he provided. Now, mind you, nobody know who's this guy. Nobody know. This man was not Secret Service, and the cops actually thought that he was. Who is this man in a gray suit? Who is he?
We are trying to find out what happened, if there is a suspect. If the suspect is in custody or taken down, it would not be surprising because there was very quick response, as there always would be in this kind of situation. This is developing very quickly. It has happened very quickly. As you can see, some law enforcement mowing around there. The crowd not moving.
Who is this guy, y'all? This is some Matrix type stuff right here going on. How would they not know? He has such confidence being back there. Such confidence, like he belongs back there. But nobody can identify who this man is. Bro, this world is spooky.
My staff immediately started reaching out to local law enforcement. We've gathered a fair amount of information. Again, we're just scratching the surface. But a couple of things that we found out. For example, the Secret Service did not even attend the 9 o'clock security meeting with local law enforcement. Pretty well put in charge the Butler County law enforcement to coordinate things. Law enforcement wasn't even on the same channel. The SWAT and sniper teams.
Just to be clear, Senator, that was a 9 a.m. meeting on July 13th, the day of the shooting.
Wow.
Correct. Secret Service had been there for site visits, weren't even there. Kind of turned over some of the outer perimeter stuff to local law enforcement. They weren't even on the same security channel. So the sniper and SWAT teams weren't on the same channel as the patrol officers, and they weren't on the same channel as Secret Service. So they had to relay things. One of the things we found out is that we've got a more detailed timeline. This picture is now on the internet, but a photo was taken by the local sniper team in the AGR building at 5:14 of Crooks. So again, we had pictures of this guy. Why wasn't he intercepted? There's so many unanswered questions here.
The pictures were taken at 5:14, and he was shot at 6:11.
Correct.
Okay.
And again, we've got a more so I'm going to be issuing a preliminary report. It's preliminary. It's just scratching the surface. Cheeto. We're primarily going to release that report to solicit more eyewitness testimony. If you took video, save it. Make a backup copy. We can glean things in terms of audio and in terms of where the shots came from. Was it one rifle? Was it more than one? I've seen some pretty interesting video on the internet by experts that certainly calls into question what the FBI is telling us about a single shooter. Again, we're only just beginning this, but it is so important that people who saw things, that have information, they preserve it, they memorialize what they saw, because memories change over time. They can be influenced. So it's good news on a bipartisan basis. Chairman Blumenthal and I are dedicated to taking transcribed interviews with law enforcement and just members of the general public that were at that rally. No matter how insignificant your piece of information might be, it might lend to provide the full story of what happened, because the American public needs to understand what happened here.
So I know that I tweeted out yesterday the fact that you're doing this bipartisan investigation, and I put on your email. You have an email that you want people to send information to, and I know that you'll tweet that later. But I got to get to this. After the shooter was taken down by Secret Service, the local law enforcement, and I know this from some of your preliminary comments, your preliminary findings, started taking pictures of the dead body, right? Can you tell us what happened then?
Correct. So that sniper team that was in the AGR building, they're the first ones that went up on the roof. They were the first to encounter the dead assassin at that point in time. Later on, other people joined them, and somebody told them to send the pictures they had taken to an ATF agent. which I think is very strange. And we call it.
I don't know how protocol works, obviously, because I'm not there, but I would assume that somebody wouldn't be there saying, hey, send this to this number real quick. If any, hey, all y'all who get pictures, send it to this number. I think that they would have some sort of procedure or protocol standard. But that's just me. I don't know. This is me with an ignorant mind from the outside looking in.
Up that ATF agent, that individual said that he was with ATF.
I meant to say ignorant level of understanding, not an ignorant mind. My fault, y'all.
And now he's gone dark. We've also reached out to the Secret Service agents in charge on the ground. All we're getting there is the runaround. So we are getting information from local law enforcement, and we appreciate that. But unfortunately, federal law enforcement agents, they're just saying, well, go through your congressional liaison. Again, that's going to be unacceptable. I wish I could rely and have faith in the FBI and the Secret Service to do a truthful accounting of this, but that's not been my experience with the Russian collusion hoax, and for years dealing with federal law enforcement. We need completely separate and independent investigations, and it has to start now.
So are you questioning whether or not there was a second shooter? Is that what you're questioning? Or if the shooter had a different gun?
I saw an extremely convincing video online. I know it's all over the place. There were 3 distinct shots early on, followed by another 5 in more staccato, more rapidly fired, and then the final one, which we believe took the shooter out. How do you explain that? I don't know. I'm not an expert. But the individual putting that video out says it clearly shows that there are at least 3 different weapons fired that day. Again, I don't know, but we can't trust the FBI and the Secret Service to do an honest and open and transparent investigation. That's just a very sad fact. So we've got to rely on other sources, independent, to really find out what the truth of the matter was on Saturday, July 13th.
I don't know, right? This seems like it's pretty easy, just in theory, to figure out who this guy is if he was the one asking y'all to send the pictures to a specific number. Because then I would ask, well, who's the first person to release this photo? And then I would start my investigation from there, trying to see not saying that they haven't done this already, but, I would have just tried my best to, start with that we can start creating some roots from that. Off of that, some stems off of that root right there. People are saying this is an inside job, period. And they expected to hide the details of this operation and the chaos that a successful assassination would have created. They missed, though. And now they can't explain it. And their gaslighting is not working.